Your boy, Coach Vic, certified land investor. Glad to be here with you. It's the weekly live stream where I come off of my high mountain perch because I am so perfect and I never make any mistakes. And I come and give you guys all the game in the world for free. Now, obviously, I'm joking. I make all the mistakes in the world. In fact, last month I made very little money because I did very little work. You know what? Let me be real about that because even though I'm going to answer all your questions, and today we're going to talk about some questions that you guys asked me about how to get started, whether you should use auctions or build your own list, how do you find buyers, all these other things. And I think some people are actually confusing what a wholesaler is versus what a land investor is. But before I give you all that good stuff, let me give you some real. First off, make sure you can hear me okay. Make sure you're, whatever you're doing, make sure if you're driving, be safe. If you're listening, and turn it up. If you're listening to this a replay or a recording, let me know and ask for whatever questions you have. I'm here for you guys. Now, with that said, as I said, last month I didn't make a lot of money. Why? Because I did very little to no work. I have maybe 2 or 3 properties that, I'll probably sell for a total like between $15,000 and $20,000 each. And I got one that should be closing pretty soon that I've been trying to close for literally 6 months. And because I got so caught up in those deals and dealing with these slow ass title companies in these little rural places, that I foolishly went against my own advice, something I've been knowing and I've experienced many times. I didn't continue to put more offers out there. And because of that, my momentum slowed a bit. Again, I got these other deals in the works. And part of the reason why I slowed down is because I got to make sure I have the money to pay off these people so I can buy these properties. But with that said, man, I didn't need to slow down. There are other deals that I could have did that were smaller in scale that wouldn't jeopardize the money that I had sitting for those other properties. And there's other things that I could have done to keep the train rolling. Why did I not do that? Well, maybe you have the same problem. Maybe you too are allowing something inside. It's something that your inner 7-year-old is preventing you from reclaiming your greatness. Because we have all of these hangups and these things that, on the surface, if you talk to a regular bystander who has no skin in the game, they're like, oh, that sounds reasonable. So my quote unquote excuse of I got to make sure I have the money ready for these properties that are entitled. Yeah, that sounds reasonable, but that's not a reason to stop negotiation. There's other money available. If you have an excuse that's like, well, I don't know what I'm doing, I need more research. Yeah, that sounds reasonable, but in reality, you know enough to get started. You should be putting a list together. You should be contacting people. You should be negotiating that price as low as possible so you can actually purchase a property with your own money. But with that said, let's jump into it because what I said down or a few seconds ago and what I'm about to answer was actually going to coincide a bit. And I'm gonna give you a little bit more so you can have to take something with you so you can get started and don't make the same mistakes that I did. Now, first question that I get a lot from a lot of you guys is some of you guys want to know, how do you get started? What do you do? Are you going to auctions? Are you putting a list together? And then if you are putting a list together, how are you contacting those people? This is my most common question because you guys hear about, hey, in land, it's much simpler than the other forms of real estate. And you're like, well, other forms of real estate, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to drive for dollars, you got to get all these tools, you got to get maybe a license to be a real estate agent, for example. With land, you don't need any of that. Now, yes, you can go to an auction, you can buy a piece of property in, whatever rural county you're looking at and be good. A lot of times these auctions these days, you don't got to be in person. You can do it online, eBay style. Or you can have somebody go on your behalf and they will bid for you. You can kind of just have like a surrogate there. I personally have never done that. Now, I know people who have done that and they think it's cool. And back in 20 years ago or so, that was pretty much, I wouldn't say the only way, but it was a pretty popular way of getting property because you can get a lot for cheap because a lot of people just didn't know. And while I do think those options are available, because more and more people are getting into land investing, from what I've understand. Now, again, I haven't done it myself, so I'm not verifying this and just kind of passing along information. But from what I've been told, a lot of these auctions that used to be barren, or you can get a bunch of property for $50 a piece and things like that, is no longer the case. because a lot of people are looking to get that next hot property, or, you know, they're looking to do the same thing that you are because of the internet, and people just know that land investing exists. Now, does that mean you still can't find deals at auctions? No, I still hear people are still getting deals. It's just not as sweet of a deal as it used to be. And sometimes you're going to go to an auction, it's going to be crowded. Maybe other times it won't be so crowded. So those days that's not so crowded, perhaps you're able to get something nice. Now, with that said, because of the internet, you can actually check out a lot of these properties in advance. And if that's the case, you may realize that some of the nicer properties, the times that those are like available for auction, the auctions may be a little bit more crowded because people saw it. And then the days that are empty, maybe that because the auction or the property available in the auction isn't very good, at least to some people's eyes. So that's just some speculation on my part, but I don't do that. What I do, I'll always put a list together. Now, if you join my group, Land Investing for Professional Millennials here on Facebook, you already know, and if you're listening to this live, then of course you've seen it. I send out a training on exactly how I get property when I am getting started in a new area. So if you gave me your email address, I emailed that training to you. If you want that training, let me know. Give me your email address. I'll email it to you as well as some other good tidbits in my daily emails that I'm always giving you guys the good stuff. So I always put a list together. How do I do it? Well, there's two ways that I like. One, you can put a list together by hand. Now, if you know my story, when I had no money, I definitely did. I put my list together by hand, meaning I went to the county's assessor site, and one by one, I took the owner's names and I put it on a spreadsheet, and I did that day in and day out. It didn't take long for me as a software engineer to write a little bit of a tool that would do that for me. So instead of taking hours, it'll take me minutes to get like a long list of people. Yeah, some of the entries in the list weren't great because like the land wasn't vacant or it's a crappy lot. But as I got better, I learned how to filter things after the fact. But either way, I built the list by hand, and then I started contacting people. Back in the day, I only did mailers and I did offer letters, tried to make them look all professional, like a bill, so people would take it seriously. That had the opposite effect, in my opinion. I think people threw them away more quickly than opened them. Now I do a lot more postcards that look like this. And, you know, the good thing about a postcard, 100% offer opening rate. Because even if I'm like, I don't want to buy them, I don't want to sell my property, as you get this in the mail, you're like, what is this? Cash offer for your land? What? No, I don't want to do this, right? Boom. Hey, okay, they weren't going to sell, but they at least saw the offer. They saw what I had to say. And hopefully they saw my name. And because they saw my name, little messages planted. And next time I send them an offer, they're like, oh, this guy again. And then they start to get to know me there. Now, what else do I do to get a property? If postcards are my main thing, I also send text messages. Now, you got to be very careful when you're doing a texting campaign, SMS. Why? Because we have the different compliance issues that you have to be aware of. Obviously, you have the do not call list that if you violate that, you can get in trouble. But let's be honest, a lot of people violate that all the time, and no, people still do it. So I guess the threat of somebody getting in trouble is very little to like no real harm or something. I don't know. It's very frustrating for us as consumers. But what else do you have to worry about? Like different carriers. So AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, whoever it is, they actually will filter out different messages and label you a spammer if you do the wrong way. And the wrong way is basically sending the same message to every single person on your list. This is the text message. Or it's not just the same message. If you use certain keywords that are kind of banned, like sale, I forget, there's a couple of them. I have a list. I have to think about the list, but there's a couple of keywords that if they see that word in the text, that phone company is going to automatically label you as spam. That's not going to get delivered. So you have that. You don't have that problem with mailers. Now, yes, there's a do not mail list, but a lot of times you can get, when you get a list, you can actually find out who's on that list and just make sure you don't send to those people. So here's the thing. If you don't want to build this list by hand or, you know, skip trace and everything, then you can use a tool like DataTree, PropStream, and the like. They will do the things that I do, but much faster. They get all the data from the county. They'll put in a nice little formatted spreadsheet for you. They'll give you all this extra information, stuff about the property itself, things like that. And you can use that, send that list to a skip tracer. They'll take every name on that list, give you a couple different phone numbers to try to reach that person for text messaging or to call them up, and then you can make deals that way. That is how I get deals. It is that simple. Now, why didn't I do this during the month of May? It's very easy to get caught up thinking, oh man, I ain't got the time, I ain't got this, I ain't got that. And when you're text messaging, you need daily time to do this. Here's the thing. If you send a mailer, you only got to do it once a month. Yes, your offers that you're sending out in that mailer should be good so that people are enticed to call you, but they don't got to be perfect. All you're really doing with the mailer is just starting a conversation. That is it. You're not asking someone to marry you right out the gate. You're basically looking with the mail like, hey, I want a date. And then if they call you back, they're like, okay, you seem interesting. I think I might want to date you. Let's see what you're about. And in that conversation or two or three, usually it's just one, maybe two if they have to find information or quote unquote think about it. They're like, hey, do we want to get married? AKA do business together. And then after that, you'll do business because you'll figure out what you're buying, what you're selling for, all these other good things, and how the process is going to work for you to actually acquire the property. Here's a tip. The easier you make this process on the person you're buying from, the lower you can offer. The quicker they will accept and the faster they will actually do their part in getting this done. When you drag your feet, you make it tough. You got to find a buyer because you're a wholesaler, not a land investor. Well, you're asking for trouble. You're asking for trouble. So far, is that making sense? You guys liking this? Cool, cool, cool. Now, another question I get all the time is, how do I find your buyers? It's a good question. Now, the person asking this, I don't know if they're a wholesaler or not. However, if they're a wholesaler, it's a different ballgame. Why? Because let's be honest, as a wholesaler, you have no leverage, right? You bring nothing to the table. There's a person who has property, whether they want to sell or not, they still have something valuable. Then you have the buyer, the person who's actually going to buy the property. They want it for their investment purposes. The wholesaler sits in the middle and they don't really offer anything besides, oh, I found a guy for you. Now, there is some value in that, but not enough to be where like, hey, I need $5,000 for, linking you two together. Now, people will still do it. Don't get me wrong. People still do it. But as you can see, because there's a lot of bad actors out there who didn't do this right, who make a lot of mistakes out there, wholesaling is being legislated against. It's going to be outlawed. You'll have to be you have to get a real estate license to do it in some places. Some places just won't be legal, period. And it's not everywhere, but it's getting in more and more areas because just enough people just did it to ruin it for everybody else, which is fine. That leaves more space for us actual land investors. Because here's the thing, we actually invest. We actually put our money into the property because we're buying it ourselves. And because of that, we have freedom and we have leverage. We can do what we want with the property once we own it. We can sell it. We can sell it in cash. We can sell it on terms, meaning a down payment and monthly payments. We can keep it. We can build on it. We can improve it. We can do whatever we want because it's ours. We have leverage. So the question of where do you find your buyers? Again, it depends. If you're looking for a wholesale buyer, I don't know what to tell you besides what people have told me that they do. They go in different Facebook groups and say, hey, I got a property under contract. Who wants in? Be careful when you do that, though, because if some people are a little more, what's the word I'm thinking about? Shady, maybe not even shady, just ruthless, business ruthless. And they'll go behind your back. They'll contact that owner like, hey, how much is that person promising you? Okay, I'll make sure you get a different amount and probably a little bit more because they're actually building in some margin into that whole thing. And I'll make sure that you actually get that property done quickly and you're not dealing with a third party. It's just me and you, and we can do it quickly and properly. So that happens a lot. But for me, how do I find buyers when I have property I'm ready to sell? I actually advertisement everywhere on the internet. So I have Facebook Marketplace. Sometimes I do Facebook ads depending on the property. Land Watch, I love good quality lead normally. Zillow's getting worse, but it used to be great. But they're squeezing out these for sale by owner stuff and making more room for just realtor stuff, which is fine because now you also can use the MLS. You can use a listing site to actually get the MLS to put those properties there, even though you're not a real estate agent, they'll put it for you. And then Zillow will pick up your MLS listing as well. Granted, it's much better to be a Zillow, have a direct I guess, ad on Zillow than having it go through the MLS and have the Zillow like bots kind of pick it up and advertise it. But, you know, it is what it is. And that's how I find my buyers. Now, here's the beautiful thing. Great. Here's the beautiful thing. I have someone contact me about some property right now from Facebook Marketplace. Isn't that convenient? Oh, go anytime. I'm telling them to go anytime to view the property because I don't live near the property. So I don't remember what I was saying. My bad, y'all. Shit, got caught up with that damn seller or the damn buyer. All right. So when you are actually looking to get those buyers, I remember now. Every person that contacts you, you're going to add them to your buyers list, right? Now they got to be serious. You got, you know, you need like a phone number, an email or something, so you have a way to follow up with them. It's Facebook Messenger is not enough. It's okay to get started, but I found that the people who are serious about taking a look at it and viewing the property and actually buying it, they don't hesitate in giving you their phone number. Those who are worried, they don't want to give you their phone number, or who don't reply to the damn message, they're no one to be followed up with. There's no one, you know, no, forget about them. So your job is to actually, everybody who contacts you and you deem them to be serious, to check it out at least, get their phone number and or an email, and you follow up with them. Hey, did you check it out? What'd you think? Need information, stuff like that. And let's say they don't buy. They say, hey, I don't like it. I saw I didn't like it, or I just don't have the money, or whatever it is. That's cool. Next time you get a property in that area, hey, I know we didn't work, the first deal didn't work out with us. I got another one. Just give you a heads up. Check it out if you like. Here's a link to the webpage I created for it. Boom, done. It is much easier to sell to a list that you have than it is to get cold leads and turn them into warm buyers. Much easier. And while you're in between properties, I will behoove you, and I need to do this a lot more myself. This isn't just me lecturing. This is a mistake I always make. Keep those leads warm by constant communication. Don't just bother them with bullshit. Constantly communicate things of value to them, things that they're going to find useful, things that they will actually be glad that you contacted them for. So if you know somebody's looking to build a house or move their mobile home or RV onto a property, perhaps you have some resources that you can give them, a blog post, a YouTube video. Again, they don't got to be your blog post. They don't got to be your YouTube video, but something you found. Something you're like, hey, you know what? I remember you said you're looking for something. I figured this will help you out. Boom, done. They don't got to look at it. They don't got to read it. I don't really care. It's just that now I have a reason to give them something of value, and they're going to remember that I'm trying to help them do what they said they're going to do. That communication, that trust is going to keep going. It's going to keep helping them out. And then when they are ready to buy, guess who they're going to buy from? This guy. So, yeah. All right. So that's how I find my buyers. I basically advertise. I keep in touch with people. I look to buy or sell to people who I've contacted with or communicated with before. And then also at the same time, I look to do cold leads. Now, some things you can do if you don't want to do online, put a for sale sign on the property. It works more effective than you think it does. Send letters to the neighbors. It's like, hey, so your lot borders mine. You want to, extend your property line by buying this property too. Now you have more property. Very powerful message. A lot of people like that. Yeah, so just make sure that there's other ways that you can do it. The more people you talk to about the property, the better. The stronger your buyers list, the easier it's going to make sales as you go down the road. Now, last piece of advice. When you're doing this game and you're trying to figure out what to do and how to do it, the most important thing is to do this land investing thing with intention. Meaning, don't just go out there and randomly just try to find some property anywhere. Find a property that fits your budget. That's going to help you actually get somewhere. Now, let's say you need money for a purchase or something, or you just need to escape your job. You need to have a set amount. Now, you may not be able to get that set amount in one investment, but understanding where you're trying to go and how you're trying to get there is going to help. And then understand the type of land that you want to sell, because buying a desert square works, but it's more difficult. And if you don't have any connection with the desert, so to speak, it's going to be harder for you to advertise that property with a little bit more passion and enthusiasm than it would like, oh, this is near my hometown, or I love the mountains. And even though I'm nowhere near this mountain, I do love the mountains. And I understand why people love mountain property. Therefore, it's easy for me to advertise. Things like that actually goes a long, long way. Well, that's all the questions I have. This is a shorter video. I did talk kind of fast today. But hopefully you guys found this useful. Now, if you have any questions about this that you would like me to answer for you guys, let me know. Post them in the group, send me an email. Either way, I'm I'm here to help you guys out do your land investing thing. So next week, we'll try to do another hot seat. If no one wants to do a hot seat, that's cool. I've got some other materials and stuff that I can actually share with you guys that may help you with your land investing. But until then, we'll talk next time. All right. Peace out.